Hi, greetings everyone. This is day 1 of the Sociology 105, Introduction to the Contemporary Social Issues and Problems. So I'm very glad to meet you in this class, and let's make a great summer session. So today I will cover a very fundamental part of the social problem issue, understanding social problems. So first of all, what is the social problem? If you Google the social problem, you can find many images and many keywords, such as poverty, jobless, immigration, or mental health problems or abortion. But there are so many issues you can encounter in the everyday life. It's very hard to define the social problem in some sentences. So I want to provide some formal generalization of the social problem as any condition or behavior generates negative outcomes for the large group of the people, and that is generally recognized to the public as the problem. So there are two key components of the social problem: objective problem and subjective problem. So objective component of the social problem is some empirical data, which is the facts as they really are. So when you see about the social problem as the crime problem, you can see the crime statistics of the mainland or other state. Or you can see the abortion rate of the county or the suicide rate of the county to see the level of the problem. And also, you can see the subjective components of the social problem. This is about the perception, which is how people perceive the things. So in their perception for the people, such as Asians or some minorities, some problems are very serious. However, for other major races, some problems are not very serious. So in the subjective component, some perspective on the social problem is important. So one case study can be provided to see those components. So before 1970s, surprisingly, rape and sexual assaults were not considered as serious problem by the government, academia, or the media. So academia, such as social science, did not cover rape or those sexual violence as the serious problem, even though they were very important issue for the woman. However, especially for the woman, not only for the man. So sexual violence existed, but nobody, I mean, academia or the media didn't make it very seriously. However, after women's march or after women's movement in the late 1970s, public paid attention for the rape or sexual assault issues, especially for the woman, and they attracted the attention from the public, legal policy makers, or media. So now sexual violence is social problem that can make or result in penalty or imprisonment. So in this case study, you can see the subjective component, which makes the perceive or perception is the very key criteria of the social problem. Because the conditions and behaviors make negative outcomes, that can be a condition of the social problem. However, in the subjective component, social constructions view makes the behaviors and social problem can be social problem when they are recognized by a large number of people or strong social agencies. So even though the problems are occurring in the everyday life, those problems should be recognized by the large number of people. However, some people or sociologists argued that even though they are some like a little problem, paid little attention, the negative conditions or behaviors should be considered as a social problem because they are serious to the people, even though they are little amount of the size. These are the social problem or the serious issues for them. So there are subjective and the objective components, but it's very arguable that which component is more important because both components have the importance for own. So in this case of the social problem, they have like emergencies. I mean, emergence of the stages. So in the first stage, it happens and claims are made by the public. They call attention to a condition or behavior such as the hate crime or sexual behaviors or sexual violence. So so social changers try to call the attention to the people. And in the second stage, in the legitimacy, they try to persuade the government or policymakers who can make big changes. And then, if they make some actions or policies for the social problems, the social changers or people evaluate actions and renew the claims to improve or the addresses of the issues. In the final stage, even though the policies and actions are made by the policymakers, social change groups continue to develop the new strategies to the new social problems and develop social problems. So social problem has both objective and subjective component. So objective component is the empirical evidence for the negative outcomes, such as crime statistics. And subjective perception is the condition and outcome can be varied by the perception of the different group. So social constructionists view the perception as the very important side of the social problem. However, some people or sociologists may see, even though they may not have some strong connection or strong perception, those social problems can be a social problem because they are serious to the some side of the people. So social problem consists of 4 stages: emergence and claims making, legitimacy, renewed claims making, and alternative strategies. So in the second part of today's lecture, I want to provide and introduce a sociological perspective for the social problems. So there are 3 grand theories on the social problem in the sociology. The first one is functionalism, which emphasizes on social stability and the integration of the society. The second one is the conflict theory, which is the society is characterized by the pervasive inequality, and people should fight with for the equality of the society. The last one is a symbol interactionism, which emphasizes on the interaction between or among the people to make the perceptions and to run their roles about in the society. So functionalism is raised from the very hot era, which has the 2 great revolutions, French Revolution and the Industrial Revolution. In that period of time, very rapid social changes were made. So increased social issues such as the increased crime, bigger cities, and the hygiene issues. So intellectuals such as social scientists began to seek a strong and stable society because they were very afraid of the very rapid changes and social problems or sort of social breaks. So they had a very conservative view that very skeptical to the rapid social change and preferred gradual social change to address social problems. So they even viewed the social problems are functional and made a very important role for the society, such as crime can make a role for the society because making a crime can increase the jobs for the security sector jobs. So it may sound very fun and very weird, but everything in the functional view see that social problems can be a can be a part of the society because it's a part of the our social agencies. In contrast, the conflict theory view the social problems are generated by the capitalist society, ruled by the social order. So social problems are arising from the inequality from the society. So society has inherent inequality by the social hierarchy, by the social class, race, and gender. So the upper parts people such as capitalists or governors contain or maintain current stages or current hierarchy because they want to keep the inequality. However, the employees or other individuals such as bourgeoisie want to change the society because they want to change the inherent inequality. So the inequalities represent fundamental problem of the society. So complete theorists may want to change as rapid social change as inevitable and needed to address social issues. So the last one is the symbolic internationalism. So this is very micro theory because the first two theory as functionalism and conflict theory watch the society as a whole. But symbolic internationalism want to see the individual interactions. So how to interpret their interactions and learn their roles by the interactions. So socially problematic behaviors and perceptions of the social problems are often made by or learned from the interactions from the people. So crime or crime behaviors can be learned by the people who are in the similar situation. So they view the social interaction is the most important part of the social problems. So this is very similar with the constructionists because they emphasize on the perceptions by the individual interactions. So functionalism emphasizes on the importance of social stability and perceive that social change is not a good one. However, conflict theory emphasizes on the social inequality and rapid social change is important to change or solve the social problems. Lastly, symbolic internationalism emphasizes on the social meanings and understanding from the social interactions. So continuity and the changes and the social problems. So we encounter many social problems in our daily life. It can be some crime, it can be also some prejudice, and also some racism and other things. So often people or students are depressed by the persistence of the social problems because from the ancient societies, crimes or murders or rapes maintained or sustained in the all over the time. So because of the persistency of the social problem, we may be very pessimistic to find the ways to solve those or decrease the social problems. However, change occurs in social problems. Theory and research in academia made very big progress by finding the reasons of the social problems and addressed and suggested actual policies to solve those social problems. So for example, when it was 19th century or 18th century, the working condition for the employees, I mean the labor workers, were terrible. They worked more than 14 hours or 15 hours per day, and they had very low wage. However, after 1970s, of the labor workers movement, they made the shorter working hours and minimum wages. So in these days, working hours for the employees are about 8 hours, and minimum wages are set for the state level or the federal government level. So by finding or debunking the reasons of the social problems and by finding the resolvement of the social problems, we can change the social problems gradually or rapidly. So even though social problems are persistent, they can be also changed over time. Social research and effort of people acting alone or social change or experiences from other countries can make the improvement of the social problems. So learning about the social problems can be a good fundamental to make the social changes, because by overarching and by expanding our view for the specific social problems, we can analyze and we can find the regions and the solutions of the problems. So this is kind of the motivation of this course, to find or to view each social problem in the specific problems. So lastly, doing research on the social problems. So because this is the 100 level class, we don't do write some paper or make some proposal. However, for the research method class or other sociological classes, you may need to do your own research on the social problems by using the sociological views if you take the sociology class. So there are four major types of the research method. The first one is a survey, which is collecting the data from the polls or the questionnaires they could survey given to the group of the respondents. So if the survey is collected by the people randomly selected from the population, it can be generalized to the public, I mean the population level. For example, if it is randomized to people in the US, we can find the result and we can generalize our findings to the US population. However, this is very expensive because we need to find some people who want to participate in the survey, and sometimes we need to give some reward or some gift card to the participants. So if the participants are like 1,000 people, we may need to spend a lot, and it may take long time to collect the data and to analyze the data. And also the information can be very superficial because these are very fixed questions about what is your gender and what is your age, like that. So it can be very limited findings from the survey. The second one is the experiments. So mostly taking place in the lab with some people of the researchers and some participants, such as 10 participants in the lab. So with the random assignment, it can be very strong because it just makes the cause and the effect. So they observe in the lab with the controlled situation. It can provide very strong causality. I mean, what is the region and what is the result, such as the effect of the medicine, like that. However, the sample size is very small and the sample can be very limited, such as the college students, because it's very easy to find them. So it's very hard to generalize to the population level because college students are highly educated relatively, and they are 20 through 25 years old in general. So it cannot represent some people in the US as the whole. So the third one is the observation and the field research. So it's kind of observing the people and social settings to provide descriptions and analysis of the behaviors. So for example, if we see the stamp union and look through the people to see the eating behaviors for the specific races, it can be observation and it can provide very rich and detailed information for the people about the eating behaviors or their problematic behaviors. However, we can just observe in the limited space and limited time. So the results cannot be generalized to the public. As we saw in the experiments, the space and the time is very limited. So we cannot generalize our findings in the stamping union to the US population in the whole. So the last one is the existing data. We can also call this is the secondary data analysis. So if you heard about some census data or the general social survey, those data are collected by the Census Bureau or other people in the university. So we don't need to collect those survey data, but we can use those data to analyze some parents for the people. So because we don't need to collect our own data, researcher doesn't need to spend much time and money to gather data. We just need to give our email or give some proposal why we want to use the data. However, the data may not contain the data or the variables or questionnaires of what we want. So for example, if we want to look through the time use pattern for the minority members, but if the data set doesn't have about the time use pattern, you cannot use the data. So the innate limitation can be applied to the its data. So we cannot find the best or perfect data for our research. So we have some limitations of the options. So surveys are a very common method for the random samples, can be generalized to the population, but very expensive and takes very long time. Experiments can provide good clues for the causal relationship because the controls and the settings are very limited, but as I told you, it's very limited to the small sample and very hard to generalizable. And field research and observation can provide very rich information about the subjects. However, it's also limited to the space and time and cannot be generalized to the public, I mean the population. And using existing data, I mean the secondary data analysis, can be very convenient for the researchers. However, using the secondary data may not be very flexible for our purpose. So this is the end of today's lecture. So I will usually have about 30 minutes lecture, and after finishing viewing the lecture, you will have to finish the quiz and finish daily writing response daily. So I suggest you read the textbook. Even though I touched the key concepts and explained about them, you may need to look through the rich explanation of these key concepts. So I want to read the textbook quickly and take the quiz. So because the quiz has the time limitation as the 10 minutes for the five questions, so you need to make sure to have the good internet connection. And then for the daily writing response, for no more than 250 words, but more than 100 words, for example. So too short writing response may not have some good score. So if you have any questions or problems regarding the lecture video or the course, feel free to let me know through JLEE1246@umd.edu. Thank you.